Right, hi guys. For those of you watching, this is episode 2 of the Millennial Talk Show. So today we have Ryan, right, the founder of the Ryan Tan Show, right?
Yeah, man, that's it.
Right, awesome. So for those of you who do not know who is he, I really love this gentleman here. He's extremely passionate, okay, in relationships, inner work, life by design. The both of us talk non-stop for the past few months. And last episode, I spoke about death. And the first person I thought of with regards to life and all these things is this gentleman here. So would you like to introduce yourself, Ryan?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your brand new show, Daryl. I love the concept that you've got here, and that's how we kind of clicked. We met each other on social media, and we had that first Zoom call, and we clicked immediately on parenting, and also things like relationships and inner work, and also life by design. I think that's something you're super passionate about. We've talked about this when I interviewed you recently, and you've said it in general that you want to be a stay-at-home dad, and I love how we've got all these frameworks that we're working on together of life by design. So it's something that I'm very interested and keen to dive into today with you.
Awesome, awesome. So can you briefly share with the audience, right? What got you started by life by design? This entire concept.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great question, Daryl. So a bit of my story and what led me to trying to be more intentional and life by design is that I was like everyone else. I finished school, I went straight into university, no gap year, and I kind of just fell into studying economics. And I was interested at school. I have a business mind, an analytical mind, but I could quickly feel that this was not the path for me. I used to just, I wasn't passionate about my studies back then. And, I was just kind of floating through life. And I'm so grateful because I could feel these burning feelings of unfulfillment just here below my chest. I could feel it as I knew deep down I wasn't on the path that I was destined to be. And the paradox is, it's great that I knew that, but I didn't know what the actual path was. So that led me down a path of soul searching. So that's when I actually dropped out of uni for about 18 months. I pursued some internships. I worked there for free in Singapore. I worked for Fave Group, which is the former Groupon, Ben and Jerry's, and a lot of the startup community in Singapore. And honestly, that was something that really cracked my shell because honestly, I was the second shortest kid in school. I was very shy. People look at me now and they say, wow, you're confident, etc. But I came from nothing. So it's all been work. But, that led me to, I guess, seeing what was out there, and it led me closer to my purpose. And again, that led me to being intentional because I could feel these burning feelings of unfulfillment, and I knew I couldn't do this for the rest of my life. I had to take charge.
Awesome, awesome. So if I were to sum it up for the audience here, it's your entire process in school that made you realize the frustration that, hey, shit, I'm not intentional in living. And that kind of got you realizing that, hey, I better start figuring this out. Would you say so?
Yeah, that's right, Daryl. And I guess, yeah, I'm half Asian, so I've got, Asian parents, and they've got that mentality of, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go and do this, do that. And they're kind of boxing you in. And that's something I was kind of going against. I could feel it because I didn't want to be boxed in. I feel that all of us as humans, we've got so much to give. And as we were saying just before the call, our innate strengths and talents, there's so much we can give the world in a place of abundance. And the hardest thing, honestly, for young people is actually finding your voice, finding those talents, and understanding who you are. Because once you do that, you can go to the moon and back and impact so many people.
That is something that I really believe in as well. And that's why I do what I do. I mean, so I want to deviate from the second question a little bit here, and I want to dive in deeper. What was the immediate step you took, right, when you felt that burning frustration or whatever that is inside you? When you mentioned that there's no fulfillment, what was the immediate step? Was it picking up a new job, exploring something? What did you do?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a great question. I had these burning feelings of unfulfillment even back in, middle of high school. So like for us, year nine, the last, say 3 years of high school, I could feel it. I see the kids playing sport and they're playing tennis on a Wednesday afternoon. Everyone's in their bubble, or they're happy, or they're just doing what they're doing. And meanwhile, I was standing in the corner of the tennis court feeling very lost in life. And I used to get stressed out about the final exams, even 2-3 years before they were happening, because I was thinking, wow, I need to get my future sorted. And now I look back, I was crazy. I was thinking 3 years ahead. It's like thinking
How
what you're
old were
gonna
you
have
back
for
then?
dinner.
How old were you back then?
That was when I was about 15 years old.
Holy shit, at 15, I wasn't thinking of such now.
And that's what I was saying. It's like thinking what you're gonna have for dinner in 3 years time on this day.
Yeah.
It's like no, you don't need to do that. And it's good to have that plan, but you shouldn't be so fixated. And I'm talking to myself when I was at that stage. So I guess honestly, I lurked around, man. I lurked in these feelings. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't have any, say role models or guides, who could, or mentor figures at the time who could help me. I wasn't really into books. So I kind of got serious and I started running, man. For me, running was something that I'm really grateful for, because when I was lost, I didn't know what to do, but I decided I'm going to start running. So I used to run around the fire trail. I grew up in the country here in New South Wales, Australia. So I used to go for like hiking runs and stuff. And for me, that was the thing that I guess got me on the right path, or started to get me on the right trajectory. But from then on in, I guess I became more serious and focused on my studies. And then as I left and I did the internship program, like you're asking me, what was the first thing, or what were the things that got you onto that path? That trip that I did, the free internships that I did, that was the thing that really, you could say, gave me the life compass, because I was able to see, okay, this is the bubble I'm living in, or this is not even bubble, this is the world that I'm living in. But there's so much out there, there's all these countries, all these people with
Lovely.
different ideas. So I
Yep.
went out there, and that gave me, my path, which and
So
then
if I
led
were
me
to
on to self-development.
right, awesome stuff. So if I were to contextualize for the audience right here, so would you say that just a simple term of like stepping outside of your comfort zone, that will be a very good start for the audience?
Definitely. I love that. Yeah. Step out of your comfort zone and lean into the discomfort. And oftentimes, again, it's the Johari window, like we've spoken about before. You don't know what you don't know. So if you're listening to this and you're not sure what to do, because at the time, I didn't know what to do, just do something different. If you walk this way home, go that way home. If you normally don't talk to the barista when you get your coffee, just talk to the barista or try something new, and you'll never know where it will lead you.
Beautiful stuff. So which leads me to sharing this. Yesterday night, I was just reflecting to myself. I'm like, hey, when was the last time I did something out of my comfort zone? Like something, like out of norm. Which is why later afterwards after this podcast, right, I would really want to just treat $5 to any stranger for bubble tea or a meal or whatever. Just pass the kindness forward, since you're bringing this point on. Okay, anyway, another thing that I'm very passionate in to find out more actually is your life manifesto. You briefly taught me how to do mine previously, but I want to hear more about yours. Can you share with the audience how does your life manifesto look like?
Yeah, great question, Daryl. So for people listening, the Life Manifesto, it's a document that I wrote up literally this time last year. I think it was in November. And it basically is a life document, or you could call it a life manual. It's going to have about 15 or 16 different headings. That's what I've thought. And there can always be more added. But basically, it's a life document of how you want your dream life to look, how you want your dream life to feel. So, for example, some of the headings that I have are, what does my relationship look like? But it's not just what does the relationship look like? How does the relationship make you feel? How does turning on that dream car make you feel? When you got to put emotion into it, because then it makes that law of attraction even stronger. So for me, I've defined out a lot of things in that life manifesto, like, what do my houses look like? And, again, think big when you do this. Don't just say, I want one house. I've got 4 houses in the life manifesto. I've got one in Singapore, got one in the Nordics, Scandinavia, got a few others there that I'm dreaming about. I'm going to execute on as well. And basically, I look at this life manifesto. It's a life document, because when we know deep down at the core and we feel what we want, it then acts as a beacon of light. So when it comes to making a decision, like, do I want to take this corporate role that pays me $300,000, or should I take this, role, running say a children's education center? It pays me $80K, but it brings me so much more fulfillment. It gives me more time with my kids at home, all that. So I guess when you know yourself really well, you're in the best position to make choices for what you want to guide you in that direction.
Lovely, very beautifully said, right? So this is something that I'm very passionate, because the name of my company is called Calibrate. The entire thought process behind it is, once your life is well calibrated, right, you exactly know what you got to do, right? Do I say yes to this job offer? Do I say no to that? And do I really want to buy shit to impress my friends? Or do I genuinely like this thing? So when you introduced to me the life manifesto, I was hyped up, right? But the key thing here is that as I was writing this, I was doing it as it's a chore. I'm being very honest here, right? I think I never really immersed myself in the emotion that you described earlier, which is why it is a reminder for me to redo it, in fact, improve it. So thank you so much for sharing that, right?
Yeah,
So
no worries, Daryl. I just wanted
yeah,
to add on as well that this life manifesto, it's a living document for people listening. So you can do multiple iterations. So when you go through big growth experiences like a relationship or an internship or you're traveling or whatever, do revisit it every 3 to 12 months and change it because it's not meant to be a rigid document.
lovely, lovely. So for those of you, for those of them who want to watch, who want to actually do their own life manifesto, what would you advise them, or is there a place where they can get a guide? Or
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if people want to, send me messages after on Instagram, I know you'll link it up in the show notes. I'm happy to answer any questions. But I guess how I'd advise to start off with is just start with a few things on a Word document. Start with what are your values because everything stems from those values. And then that's number one for me. Number two is what is my contribution, impact, and fulfillment going to look like? But again, just to simplify it down, start off with your values and then just write down, say, 2 or 3 things like what's your dream relationship, house, and car look like, or your travel, and just dream big, get that inner child, dream what you want, and just write. And the more you write, the more it will flow.
oh, I love that. Right, thank you so much for that. So the both of us were equally passionate about inner work. You're slightly more passionate about relationships. So what got you started in the first place? I know about the inner work thing, right? It's because you were unfulfilled. But relationship, what's that?
Yes, great question again. Relationships and what got me interested. Yeah, I don't know. People think I'm some kind of relationship coach or guru. I think one of your, we used to chat on Instagram Live and a few people said similar things. What got me into it, honestly, is inner work, man, because I, like every guy does, we want to study dating. And when I was about 18 or 19, just left home, moved out, starting that university path, there was a part of me that, we all want to, pick up women and we want to, I guess, have a relationship and we don't know it at the time, but I think that's what we're going for. And I think when I had that, I first looked to the outer game instead of the inner game. I looked at the outer and said, okay, like what are the pickup lines? Every guy does this. We like study pickup artists, or they just look on YouTube videos or all this kind of stuff. And I looked at it, but it never interested me because at the time I was not very confident. So for me to cold approach, say, a woman was very hard, and it's something that I never did because it's quite tough. I didn't do that till later on. But then I saw online there's a guy selling a program, and this guy also talked about inner game. And I thought, this makes so much sense. I can't achieve any success in the outer game until I've mastered my inner game, because people, and especially women, they'll see straight through your bullshit. If you're using pickup lines and tactics to, pick them up or whatever, yes, you may win them in the short term, but the long term or the medium term, they'll find you out for who you are, and you can't run from your past and who you are inside. So that got me into studying relationships. And I see them very intertwined, Daryl. I see, relationships and inner work are so important because you actually can't, I believe you can't have a fantastic, fulfilling relationship until you've mastered your inner game.
Yeah, lovely. Which brings me to our next question. So what's the correlation? So you mentioned that they're very intertwined, but what
Yes.
kind of, in what sense?
Yeah, again, I like the question. For me, the link occurred because when I was looking at relationships, again, there's that outer game. So, you can approach them with these pickup lines or these tactics or whatever. But when I saw that I had to master my inner game first, I had to go through my past, things like my emotional charges, the emotional defilements, like, greed, shame, fear, all these things that we all have in us. I knew that I had to go through that first. So that led me, the relationships and wanting to pursue a relationship led me to inner work. And then that led me to discovering that I have to master my own self. I have to fix myself, love myself, self-love, self-care, all that before I'm able to give my best gifts to the relationship. And I actually got, it sounds quite good what I'm saying, but I actually got trapped in a way because then I jumped into a relationship just 2 or 3 years ago. And, I don't think I was jumping into it because I thought I'd mastered the inner game, but I think everyone's seeking for love and connection. And that's what I was doing at the time. And I got burnt because I hadn't mastered myself. And as a result, I attracted someone on the same level. So I quickly, saw that mirror reflection of who I was at the time. And again, that has led me further on now to mastering the inner game. So I'm able to attract someone who is fantastic. And I have to do that myself to get that.
Lovely, lovely. I wanna kind of unpackage this conversation on this topic as well. So would you say that the typical things that we see on most relationships out there, if the guy is too hot and the girl is nah, she gets insecure. Would you say so?
So
And,
what do you
and
mean exactly?
so for example, the guy 6 packs,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
really hot, right? And the girl, meh, average body, average look, and all these things, and she'll be like insecure, tying the guy down, saying that hey, you don't go to the beach half naked and all these things. So that is probably because of what you mentioned. The inner work is not done right. But if she, in terms of her outer look or whatever, she's near average. But her inner world, she's kind of peaceful, she's calm, and she know what her worth is, self-worth is. Even if her other half is how hot or whatever, she will be calm. She'll be peaceful, she will not be controlling or dominant towards a partner. That would you say that would be a good example of how the correlation between inner world and
Yes.
the relationship?
Most definitely. I love what you say. And the reality is, if you take care of the inner self, the external will always be good. And again, it's just, if you see people who have horrible skin or, they're a bit overweight or whatever, again, it's not to judge anyone, but the reality is you have to master yourself, understand your patterns, your beliefs, your self-talk, all this stuff, because your external is purely a manifestation of what's going on inside. And the example that you brought up, it's perfect example because if people, it sounds like I've introduced you to the book Attached by Levine and Heller or someone. I love the book, and it talks about attachment styles, and it sounds like the one you described, the woman in this example, she's quite codependent and she wants to cling someone down
Just,
because she feels insecure. That's right, she's anxious attachment.
yep. So that's why for me, I mean, I just want to share a bit. My audience, I don't think they know this side of me. Like with regards to relationships, I came from a place where I wasn't really actively looking for love from my home. I was looking more outside. I think that's something that you can resonate with as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's where I was not ready, and I went to meet people from various backgrounds. Like a pattern that I noticed, not discriminating as well, is that my my ex girlfriends, they came from single parents. So
Mhm.
single parent family, she was kind of in some sense dysfunctional. She was not having the right confidence and all these things. So she ended up cheating on me, which
Wow.
kind of spiral effect. You see the ripple effect. So it brought on to me, and I was struggling how to deal with that as well. So
Mhm.
that kind of got me interested to finding out more about relationships, the inner world. And I realized that if we don't internalize our relationship mistakes, the same damn thing will happen again and again. I kid you not, the second girl that I dated, same thing, single family. Like this time right is divorced parents. So this
Wow.
is why I'm so passionate about this topic, and I really invited you to kind of talk more about relationship as well. For the audience here watching or listening to this, really take time to calibrate yourself in your words, life manifesto done right. With that, you are literally having a leap start, or what do you call a head start. You're taking a leap of what's the best way to say this?
Leap of faith, would you say?
No, it's not really a leap of faith. Jump start. I probably say jump start your entire life and your relationship as well. So you don't have to suffer the repercussion at a later stage. So that is probably, I just want to share the purpose for this podcast, this topic, right? And
Yeah, I love what you say there. Yeah, it's true.
yeah. So moving on to our last few questions, right? So what's one thing that all millennials should take note of when it comes to the process of inner work?
I love that. And that's something I was going to add on. I think, and it sounds weird because we can talk from a theoretical level and say, you need to work on yourself, love yourself, and all that. And that's easy to say, but it's really hard to work on. And I got trapped, as I said in the past, because all humans, we have this desire for longing, for connection. We want to be loved and we want to love other people as well. So I think it's really hard. I think for me, I did this Vipassana 10-day meditation earlier this year, and it's incredible. It's not something that's well known, but it's becoming more of a buzzword. I think our mutual friend Dylan has done it in Malaysia,
Yep.
and a few other people want to do it, and it's incredible. For me, that was good because what the effects and what it allowed me to do, it allowed me to go internally, because you've got no distractions for 10 days, no phone, no books, nothing, and you're not even eye contact with anyone, and it lets you analyze what is going on in yourself. Like, what are the thoughts going on? What's my self-talk like? Is it negative? Is it positive? How am I talking to myself? When I can even see like habit loops, what am I doing? Or, if you have self-sabotage going on. So basically the impact or the effect of that is it allows you blank space, and you don't need to go to a meditation retreat to do this. You can do it at home. Just turn your phone off, turn all distractions, and just sit there and be comfortable with your own being, and even get a notepad and pen and just write down anything that comes to your mind. Because when you're able to understand the tapes that are playing in your mind and what's going on, like the subconscious patterns and loops and all that kind of stuff, you're able to witness yourself. So simply just allowing that will get you so far.
Lovely, right? So I think that is practically almost the same thing I forced myself to get into as well. So for those of you who kind of know my story, right? Same thing. My dad snapped at me, and he asked me what the hell was I good at, and I was stunned. I don't know how to answer that kind of tough questions, which in what do you call it? Their words, right? Is tough questions. Why you go so deep,
Mm.
So but if you really take time to internalize yourself, right, analyze yourself, you really save way more time in time to come, right? You will not have like quarter life crisis, midlife crisis, and bullshit like that. So that's why both me and Ryan, we clicked right off the bat because we took time to truly understand more about ourselves. So if you are listening or watching this right now, I really want to challenge you. Take at least 3 hours of your time. Block out every single thing, just you and your notepad. Whatever comes to your mind, just simply write it down. Whatever patterns or habits that you notice about your life for the last probably 20, I am assuming millennials, you're 20 plus, 30 plus, right? 20 plus, 30 plus years that you have gone through. What are some things that's self-sabotaging? What are some things that's doing well? Please record them down. I don't want this podcast to be something that you listen, you feel good, and you don't take action. That's why I'm trying to dig out as much actionable steps from Ryan right here. So really, anything to add on from Ryan?
One more thing I wanted to add as well. That's a great step to add on. But the second step, and it's something that's very important in inner work, is find a friend, a family member, a counselor, a psychologist, whoever. Find someone who can hold a safe space for you, hold safety, and just listen, because it's crazy. Like, so many people, or most people, they just want to be heard. Everyone's trying to, ram down advice down their throat or tell them what to do or sell them something. But if you can find someone who's a great listener and you just have them sit down and just talk, just, think out loud to them and go through everything, that's also really good, because you can only do so much thinking about it. But when you move into the realm of talking and going deeper in your emotions in a safe space, a lot more will come out, and it will breed so much more self-awareness.
I really like this. This highly underrated, yet it's freaking important. Now that you mentioned this point, right? I noticed another thing that I do, a little mini hack, right? Is that I do videos of myself, regardless whether I'm happy, tearing, sad, angry. I will video myself because probably partially is because I don't find it easy, right? Easy for me to, in that moment of in that state, in the moment of emotion, to reach out to anyone and just pour my whole heart out. But instead, if you are watching this or listening to this right now, you feel uncomfortable, probably can do that for yourself. Whip up your phone, record yourself speaking, pouring your heart out, and you rewatch it at a later stage or later point of time. You're like, wow, that is me being very authentic, right? Very authentic. And when right now, when I rewatch all those videos, I'm like, wow, it acts as a checkpoint, acts as a milestone, acts as a reminder for me as well.
Yeah, that's so good. And also it's for your future kids, they're going to be able to see, wow, my dad is so strong. He's so vulnerable. And if you have, you want a son as well, it's going to be so good for him, because it teaches him to be authentic and vulnerable and to really show his emotions instead of trying to hide it away.
For sure. And that's what I think most of us, based on society, conform us, right? To really act strong, act tough, act like, we're going fine, and every single day we have to just do our either we're studying or we're schooling and do our daily things, right? But I think, like exactly what you said, it's this moment where you really have to find a safe space as an outlet, right? The keyword here is outlet. So that is beautiful that you shared. I want to ask this second last question, right? Is that what's the next exciting thing that you're actively working on?
Yeah, I love it. For me, I've just launched my podcast, The Ryan Tan Show. It's something I've been meaning to do for a year, but I've never really felt the impetus to actually do it. And I actually believe in life. Because there's a guy, Mark Burris in Australia, he's a startup guy. He says, if it's not an F yes, it's an F no. And that's for everything I believe. If you don't really want to do it, don't do it. I've just started this podcast. I guess it's the next project that I'm working on. I love it because I'm able to go out and talk to interesting people, have really good conversations, to learn more, and also help them spread their message across. So that's what I'm working on now, Daryl. I love it. I've interviewed you for my first episode. I love that we had a very heartfelt conversation about your past and things that you're working towards.
Awesome. The reason why I'm asking that is because you know me, I'm always being abundant. And if I can do my best to help you with that project, awesome, right? So
Thanks so much, man.
I'll link your podcast, right, in this podcast episode as well. So can you share, right? How can the audience find out more about you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm on Instagram. My username is Ryan_Tano, Tano. My podcast, The Ryan Tan Show. I get Daryl to put all that in the show notes. But if you guys listening have any questions around inner work, I'm into spirituality, also business, podcast, anything that I can help you with, feel free to shoot me a message anytime. I'd be more than happy to have a chat.
Right. Once again, thank you so much for being on the Millennial Talk Show.
Thank you so much, Daryl. Appreciate it, brother.
Right. See you soon.
See you, brother.